All righty, I am so happy to be here today with Tom Rooney, Superintendent of Lindsay Unified School District in California. Welcome, Tom, to our Equity Chats.
Thank you, Kim. Very glad to be here.
We would love to hear about Lindsay Unified in terms of where you're located, your student demographics, and any other tidbits you want to share with us today.
Yeah, Lindsay Unified is a school district in the Central Valley of California. We're a preschool through 12 district that has about 4,300 learners. We are 100% of our learners receive free and reduced lunch. We have 90% of our learners are Hispanic, and 53% come to our schools. They show up not speaking English, and so we have some challenges with regard to parent education level. We're primarily a farm working community. The majority of our learners' families are involved in agriculture in some way, either working in the fields or working in the packing sheds. And we are definitely rural area of California.
Great, thanks, Tom. I would love to take a pre-post, so to speak, picture of how Lindsay Unified has addressed personalized instruction. So take us back to the spring and tell us what you were doing to kind of support students in this unprecedented and urgent moment of COVID-19.
Yeah, do you want to know more before COVID hit or when after it did?
I would love to hear a little bit about before, and then we'll move forward to this school year.
Got it. Okay, so we have in Lindsay, we've been building a what's become known as Lindsay's performance-based system for about a decade. And in that work, it is a personalized, competency, learner-centered system in which it's based on the core premise that people learn in different ways in different time frames. So in Lindsay, for over a decade, it's not so much about what grade you're in or what your age is. It's really more about where you are in the learning. And so in Lindsay, you progress through your learning journey along our continuum of learning from pre-K all the way through when you leave our system after high school. You are on this journey of learning, and it's academic learning and it's lifelong learning. We have competencies and aligned assessments and a pretty robust learner management system and systems and structures that are all about learners setting goals, knowing where they are in their progress, monitoring their progress along the way, checking and adjusting, celebrating successes, rebounding and redirecting when they need to more time, or they need to learn in a with a different tool or a different person. And so we've really been pretty far down the path of developing a personalized competency-based system for about a decade now.
That's great. And so when you had to shift gears in the spring, I imagine it wasn't really that much of a gear shift because your students were already utilizing digital tools.
Yeah, it was. I think Lindsay actually had a little bit of an easier journey. It wasn't easy for anybody, including us, but an easier journey than many districts because we already, since 2016, every learner has had a device and every learner has been connected to the internet. We had a community-wide Wi-Fi project that we put in place, and so the aspect of access to technology and access to the learning was definitely in place prior to COVID. When we saw the probability that our schools were going to close in early March, we kind of saw this coming. We literally began to prepare, well, how will we open up? Because in a community such as Lindsay, the school system is the hub. The school system is the place where many of the learners go for not just for learning, they definitely come for learning, but they also come for a nutrition. They come for connections. They come for love. They come for safety. They come for socio-emotional support. And so in Lindsay, we never actually closed. What we say is in Lindsay, we closed the facilities, but we always remained open for learning. So on March 17th, we did close the facilities on that day. And on March 18th, we opened up for learning. had learners engaged in distance learning. We had learners showing up. We had learning facilitators engaged in delivering powerful instruction, reconnecting with learners, helping them navigate through this. It was a very difficult time and a very fearful time. In a time at that point in California, it was a shelter in place. First time that many of us have ever even experienced that in our lifetime. And the fear that went through our children, our learners, the fear that went through their families, they needed to know that we are still open for service. And so while the facilities were closed, we were clearly reaching out and connecting. One of the most important things to do was let us connect with you. We want you to know that we are still here, that we have not closed, we have closed our doors, but we are still here for you. And we are reaching out for you and what are your needs? And so there isn't a single learner in Lindsay who missed a meal because food services kicked in the very first day of facility closure. There isn't anybody who didn't want to miss any learning that missed any learning because we essentially kicked right into learning right away. A couple of days after the facility's closure, we offered a very extensive professional learning. It was because there was a lot to learn for leaders, for families, for learning facilitators, for our leadership team. And so we kicked off a very extensive, there was 21 breakout sessions a couple of days after our facility's closure to train everybody on the tools of connection, on the tools of instruction, on the tools of engagement, and how do we really elevate our performance-based system in the midst of this pandemic? How do we truly provide personalized, competency-based learning, and how do we keep the learning going in Lindsay? There was an article that was written by, there was probably 8 to 10 articles that were written by various publications highlighting Lindsay's work last spring. But one of them was called, "The Facilities Are Closed, but the Learning and the Loving Has Not Stopped in Lindsay." And so that one just rings kind of special to me because I'm thinking that that's truly what was happening. And what happened, Kim, was not just our learning facilitators, our teaching staff, we refer to them as our learning facilitators, but all of our classified staff, the secretaries, custodians, safety monitors, people who work in the food services, everybody took on a new role. Everybody kind of embraced and came to the table and said, what do you need me to do? What do I need to do now that our learners are not physically showing up? What role can I play? And so we had this incredible outreach of people that were on the phone. They adopted, kind of groups of learners, and they would be calling them on a regular basis and checking in. Are you safe? Are you okay? What do you need? Is your connectivity not right? Whatever it is. So it was truly a community effort, a learning community effort, reaching out to our learners to make sure that they knew we were here and they knew that the learning would continue. And we certainly had our bumps and bruises along the way. Attendance was really strong at the beginning, and then slowly, I think people got tired or the summer was approaching, and so our attendance dropped off. So we got really aggressive about reaching out and saying, no, we're still here. No, you still need to come to learning. And so we finished the year strong, and I would say as a superintendent, just couldn't have been proud. I couldn't be more proud of the way the team responded to the needs of our learners. And that's really the heart and soul of our district in our learning community, is that it's about the Lindsay learner. And at a time like this, a time of this pandemic, is everybody responded and said, I'm a facilitator of learning. How am I going to do this in a virtual way? I am a person who takes care of nutrition services. How am I going to make sure every Lindsay learner is fed? I am a person who's in charge of the Wi-Fi or the devices. How am I going to make sure and go above and beyond to make sure that connectivity is solid and everybody's device works? I'm a person who's in charge of engaging and helping our parents to take on this new role and really helping them to be facilitators of their child's learning at home when they themselves are not feeling confident or comfortable in doing that. So lots of lessons learned, but it was as successful, I think, as anybody You know, it was more successful, I think, than a lot of places because of the things we had in place already. The mindset of the learner. We already had a mindset built. We teach the growth mindset. We teach we teach our learners how to goal set. We teach them how to track their progress. And so when we went into distance learning, that shifted right over, and it shifted right into say, you know what, no, we're going to get through this. No matter what this is, we're going to persevere through this. I know where I am in my learning. I know where I need to go next. These are 5-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 17-year-olds that can track their own progress and say, this is where I'm at, and this is where I need to go next. And so that was our journey through the spring, which isn't a journey that we asked for, but it's a journey that sort of caused all of our belief systems to be tested and all of our actions to be elevated and accelerated like we never would have anticipated.
I love that, Tom. And I wanted you to talk about the spring because I wanted you to contextualize the Lindsay experience for our listeners here. And what I'm hearing is you have a relationship infrastructure in many ways that you've built with your community, with your parents, with your students that I love. So take us forward, right, into this school year, 2021. So now you're coming in, kind of anticipating learning environments and hybrid and virtual. Tell us what Lindsay's looking like this school year, what the experience is like.
Well, our plan as we were moving forward in the middle of July, we basically wanted to, we took parent surveys, learner surveys, staff surveys, and what we wanted to do is we wanted to make sure we provided every Lindsay learner with what they needed and when they needed it. Mm-hmm. That's our equity commitment. Mm-hmm. We want every Lindsay learner to say, you gave me what I needed when I needed it. Mm-hmm. Our equity commitment. And so if some learners wanted to remain in distance learning because that was working for them, we wanted to allow that. So we were setting that up. If some wanted to come back, we wanted to allow that. And so we were kind of setting up to ensure safety and ensure a phased in approach. And then on July 17th, the governor made the announcement that counties with certain levels of COVID positive results could not open for in-person learning. And so we shifted literally on July 17th to say, uh-oh, we're one of those counties. So we're going to be all distance learning. But we are not going to do distance learning in the same way we did it in the spring. We're going to do distance learning much better than we did it in the spring, because the reality is distance learning doesn't work for a lot of learners. There are learners who simply, for a variety of different reasons, they need to come physically to the school. There's a quote and we took dozens, we had all these surveys, but there was about 100 quotes from different learners. And one of them that really strikes me, Kim, is there was a learner who, and the question was something, tell us about your distance learning experience. And this one learner said, I was at school, I felt safe, and I felt loved. Mm. Now that schools are closed, I feel neither of these.
Wow. Wow.
Can you let us come back?
Wow.
When I hear a quote like that, that's the kind of thing that keeps me up at night and gives me tears for my Lindsay children. And I want to let you know there were many like that. There were many, many learners crying out to us saying, I know you're doing your best, but I want to come back. Mm. Can you let us come back? Mm-hmm. And given the unfortunate, the situation with the mandate, that we couldn't allow them to come back. So we said, okay, we can't let you come back, but what can we do? So we really ramped up several elements of our system. One is we provided additional professional learning, but it was really, there was professional learning around trauma-informed practices, about reaching out to our learners, leveraging our counselors. We hired these positions that are called lifelong learning mentors. We literally took on the social emotional on a different level, because we have far too many, perhaps hundreds of our children out there suffering on the social emotional level, on the depression level, on the, and we needed to reach out to them. So we hired additional positions, because what the governor said is, it says you can't have in-person instruction. It didn't say you can't have in-person meetings or in-person outreach or in-person counseling. So we you know, we're not like advertising that, but we're literally trying to say we have to meet the needs of our learners. And so all of these folks are reaching out. We have these trauma specialists now that, and each of our staff will actually go through, every one of our staff members is going through many hours of trauma-informed practices, because we need to be able to reach out to our learners. And that's a big shift that's happening. Another big shift from the instructional element is we had what's called an induction day. And every learner and their family had a personalized meeting with their learning facilitator. And in that meeting, we were 6 feet apart and everybody had masks on. We took temperatures, we did all the precautions, but they had this meeting, and it was about connecting with each other, about creating the schedule, about setting goals, about making sure the learner's device works, about getting them logged onto the right programs, about helping the parent to be a partner and a supporter in these times. And so that was really we didn't have the chance to do that in March. So we really launched it in a different way with these induction days. We also rolled out a much more, a new version of our Empower learner management system. Our learner management system is Empower, and that Empower platform has thousands of playlists at every level, and it has systems for learners to upload their evidence, for learning facilitators to provide feedback, for principals to provide feedback to learning facilitators. It's this integrated system that links curriculum, instruction, assessment, feedback, and data reporting all in one. And it enables us to really know who's learning, who's not, who's engaging, who's not. We set up, another thing we did is we set up tighter structures around the schedule. Like there's a very structured day now for when synchronous learning happens and when asynchronous learning happens. And it's just, and that helps significantly to guarantee instruction and guarantee learning. We've had something, I looked at this yesterday, we've had something like 82% of our learners have had perfect attendance so far. They show up for distance learning every single day. Wow. And when you look at the average daily attendance, it's like between 96 and 99%, depending on which learning community we're looking at. But the fact that over 80% have showed up every single day, like they haven't missed one lesson, that says something about the Lindsay learner and engagement and involvement in their own learning and their ownership of their own learning. And so those are some key elements. I think we're also using a much more collaborative approach to best practices, meaning we have some people who have become experts in distance learning. They really embraced it, and some of them were not actually the best when we were face-to-face, but they really embraced distance learning in a new way, and they really came to be some of the best. And so we're leveraging lessons learned, we're leveraging best practices. I sat in this past Wednesday, I dropped into about 6 different professional learning sessions, and it was all learning facilitators teaching learning facilitators. The tools, the tricks, the things they've learned that works really, really well. And so I think that's very powerful, is there's this attitude that we're in this together and that we're all learning. And when I learn something new, I'm going to share it with my colleagues. And when I'm struggling with something, I'm also going to share that with my colleagues. And I'm going to ask for support and trying to be responsive. Work that we still need to do, we're doing much better at helping our parents to be the facilitators of learning at home and to be stronger partners. But again, it's for many, it's a challenge because there's a language barrier. For many, it's a challenge because their academic level themselves might be not very high. And the great thing is they love their children and they're there to try to do the very best they can. So it's up to us over time and with additional time is to help our parents, to guide them, to support them, to help them feel more confident in being a supporter and to really be the first educators in their children's life. And that just takes a while to do. And so we're in the midst of that as kind of a next step. But, you know, we will continue to focus on our equity commitment of giving every Lindsay learner what they need and when they need it. Given the current circumstances, given the situation that we're not allowed to have them back yet, when that is allowed, we're going to bring them back in small cohorts. We're going to really be strategic about giving each learner what they need. Again, as a superintendent, I'm just really proud of the work that we've done as a team, and we're providing personalized learning opportunities, and we're guaranteeing competence of every Lindsay learner, both academically and socio-emotionally.
Wow, thank you, Tom. Our 15 minutes went by pretty quickly, but I have appreciated you literally taking us to your district. I was just feeling what your students and what your staff feel, and appreciate your leadership within the league as well, and as always. So thank you for your time today and for sharing your thoughts with us, and good luck as you continue to navigate the school year.
Thank you, Kim.